Just a note to the new board member, please remember to turn your mic on and speak into it as well, because we are being streamed. Green light on.
All right, we did have an executive session January 10th to discuss the buying and selling of real estate. Anyone here for public comment? All right, hearing none, we'll go to the approval of the meeting minutes of December 20th, 2023. Any additions or corrections to the minutes as distributed? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I think Tyler seconded.
Sure, second.
Further discussion? All in favor, give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So ordered. Financial report.
Contained in your packet is the typical monthly statement of cash position. You will see an improvement in our total bank balance, which does relate to refund of the escrow amounts that we had in an account for the settlement on the Dentsply property. And it sounds nice now to say Dentsply instead of West College Avenue. But you will also see in the accounts receivable column, there still remains a line item in there for accounts that are receivable for that project. And that represents the school tax reimbursement that were prorated at settlement that the RDA had to pay at settlement and will get refunded as that's processed as a tax immune property. Other than that, no real significant changes.
All right, any questions from the board? All right, we'll go to action items. 246 Chestnut Street.
246 Chestnut Street was discussed in project committee. And this is Randy and Haley Durkee, and they have in the past purchased 335 South Penn from the RDA and also 334 South Duke, and renovated both successfully. They are very, very hands-on, very capable, and they are offering to purchase 246 Chestnut Street for $1,500. And I am trying to pull up a screenshot, street view of that property right now. It's the one with the hole in the roof right here. And this is a property that we were able to recover from the previous Think Loud deal. Do you recall we were trying to recover properties that we had sold to them? This one we recovered through the land bank purchase. And it is a very small house and is in very rough condition, but they have agreed to take it on for $1,500 to improve it. Their anticipated budget is about $45,000 to fix it up, and they will make that available for rentals.
All right, any questions? All right, hearing none, is there a motion to approve the application of Haley and Randy Durkee, Cedar Hill Property Services LLC, to purchase 246 Chestnut Street for $1,500?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Any further discussion? All in favor, give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
So ordered. Cottage Hill Road.
Okay, this is an application from Lori and Vaughn. Is it Rimmel or Rimmel? Rimmel. That's what I thought, but I always say it wrong. The Rimmels are successful property owners in the city, and they are interested in buying 3 parcels, and I'll see if I can pull up the county map and explain it. What they would like to do is purchase 3 parcels up on Cottage Hill Road and do a reverse subdivision and combine it into 4 parcels facing front and back. So you can see there are 3 long skinny lots, 278, 280, and 282 Cottage Hill Road, that front on both Cottage Hill Road and on the back on Harmon Avenue or Union Street at that point. And what they would like to do is take these 3 long strips and divide it into front and back 2 and 2. So take 3 lots that are long and skinny and divide it into 4 lots that are 1, 2, 3, 4. And what they would like to do then is construct or build or place single-family residents that are small units that are modular, pre-manufactured buildings that then they would offer for sale at an affordable price to homeowners. And we have had pre-meetings with our codes official, Chief Buffington, and our zoning officer on the constructability and inspectability of these properties. They are fully built, 2x6 insulated. They come as a shell, and Mr. Reimel would finish off the insides with 2 bedrooms, a bath, a dining room, kitchen, living room, and put them for sale.
Will there be any drawings or anything to come back before for plans for approval?
Yes, we will work with, in fact, I've already connected Mr. Reimel to the CS Davidson for subdivision setback lands, issues like that. And he's agreed to walk us or work with us through the process to make sure. In fact, after project committee, there were some questions about what the properties would actually look like. And he provided me a picture of this, as well as, this is at the, this is actually out in a yard actually, but you can see they're quality built. Looks like metal seam roof on them.
Some of them could have a metal seam roof on, or you have an asphalt shingle roof on, architectural shingle.
Okay, so there'll either be a metal seam roof or architectural shingles. Again, they're inexpensive, and they're attractive looking places. The info sheet that he provided, each structure is 14 feet by 40 feet, 16-inch on center, 2x6 walls and floors, 3-foot, 36-inch entrance door, 6-inch blown insulated ceiling, electric baseboard heat with window air conditioning units to be installed on a concrete slab. So these are, and we've been meeting with Mr. Reimel for some time. We wanted to try this as kind of an entrance for the city into this type of housing to provide affordable, small, efficient structures. And we feel that the Cottage Hill Road is a good location because it's not 3-story row homes. We think that a cluster of 4 of these in this lot would look attractive, particularly given this is like a, there's just a blank slate essentially on this area, and it overlooks the parking lot and eventually over the Cadorus and what was I guess is a contractor's office right now, right next to the park. So Mr. Reimel's here to answer any questions, and I think this is a great idea. I'm excited about this.
You said the structures would be set on a concrete, what, pad?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And that pad would have to be installed with the appropriate footings and frost depth and things like that. So it's not just throwing them on the ground kind of thing.
So we're doing, so it's 1,500 each, so we're doing 4,500 total?
Correct.
15 for each. Anything else that you would like to add?
Whatever questions I may be able to help you to satisfy everybody.
Anything else?
Have you done any of these before?
No, I haven't. I've been working in the city here with rental properties probably over 30 years, and I've noticed all these vacant lots, and I've been trying to figure out some way that to utilize them, in some manner that's beneficial and equitable, for everybody all the way around. And looked at several different things.
Have you observed any facilities like this that have already been constructed somewhere else?
I can't say that I have. I mean, as far as the inner workings of it, I mean, we're starting off with a very good solid structure. As far as the internal working parts of it, I'm in contact with all the proper contractors to do all the electrical work, and of course the C would do the finish inspections on the inside.
So this was your idea?
Yes.
Well, you better patent it in case it works.
Well, we're hoping it does work. I mean, like Landon said, we've been to, several meetings together, and we have one more idea that might work in some other locations. I don't have that one quite refined yet, but as I understand his concern about two-story, or a single story alongside a bunch of three-stories, it's just not going to look right. But I think we may have a line on how to take and do a two-story, but that's further down the road. But yeah, so we want to try to make this work, for everybody.
So Mike, you're hearing, you're considering going 2 stories with this, did you say?
Not with this one here. I still have a lot more research to do on that to get a two-story. All right, make a two-story work in numbers that the average person could purchase it. Right now, most everything that I've been seeing is for quote-unquote the boxes. All right, they're around 150 to 175,000 just for the boxes, and of course putting everything else in them. Now it blows the price over 200. So I think that's, if we can stay in, 175, 180, 190, if we can keep them under 200, I think the average person is something that they could afford. But I got to do a lot more research onto that, before we're ready to submit that plan. But this one, I think we have this one. I've gone backwards and forwards and sideways and everything else on the numbers, and I think we have them that they're going to work without too much of a problem.
Any other questions?
Well, maybe one or two. 15 feet by 40. What is it? 2 beds, a bathroom, kitchen.
How about if I show you a plan?
I was gonna say, Glenda, is there you had a picture, some pictures like this?
Yeah, but I did not scan in his plan, so I can't put that on the screen, unfortunately. I apologize.
I'm just curious what 130,000 gets you.
Right.
And with 1 bath, you're slightly limited. It's-
It might be.
Would there be, I guess there would probably be off-street parking ultimately with these as well, right?
It depends on how the lot.
Because they all have road frontage. It's,
Right, it depends on how the lot works out. Let me go that way. If the length on them takes and works out, I'm thinking possibly do off-street parking on that. But like I said, I won't know that until we get the actual dimensions of everything.
so there's like, so there's kind of the kitchen's kind of a big living area kitchen, kind of like a studio apartment, but it's on the first floor, not
Right.
in a high-rise in Manhattan.
Right, right.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, hearing none, is there a motion to approve the application of Vaughn and Lori Reimel to purchase 3 lots at 278, 280, and 282 Cottage Hill Road for $1,500 each to reverse subdivide and construct 4 new houses?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. Authorization to file complaint in Court of Common Pleas.
Yeah, this is, and a copy is attached in your packet as well. This is one of these where we are enforcing, or starting the process to enforce our deed covenants. So Mr. Calvin Garvey was granted the purchase of 312 South Penn Street from the RDA in a similar fashion that we just did. And that was back in February of 2019. And by the terms of the deed and the covenant that's in there, he was required to complete the renovations by February 22nd of 2020. Obviously, we recognize there was a COVID issue in there as well. And I'm sorry, I don't have a current picture, but this is the Google Street View of November of 2021. So obviously, you can see the property is still red X'd and has not been completed. We have tried, Don has tried in the past to communicate with Mr. Garvey, and Don, I believe, mail was returned as undeliverable. Yep. So we are filing a motion in the court to try to track down Mr. Garvey and recall this deed.
Any questions for staff? All right, hearing none, is there a motion to authorize the solicitor to file complaint against Calvin Garvey, Brooklyn, New York, for failure to perform deed obligations and reconvey title to the RDA for 312 South Penn Street?
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor, give your consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. Acceptance of 2019 RDA offer.
In your packet is, I meant to give you just the first couple of pages, but unfortunately I messed up. So you have the entire audit in your hands. So it's good if you need something to fall asleep to at night. But this is, I will remind you, this is the audit for the year ending 2019, which is several years beyond my comfort level, but it is a year newer than what we did have as of a couple of weeks ago. And a lot of this runs in, just as a little bit of background, the RDA has its own audit performed. So this is a separate standalone audit that is performed by the same firm that does the city's audit. So, but it rolls up and becomes part of the overall city audit because we are a subcomponent government unit founded and operating under the city of York. That's the way that this process works. So the Hamilton and Musser, or the auditor who's currently working on the city's audit, I reached out to them independently, and so that we could have a copy of the RDAs while they continue to work on the cities that this will roll up into. So we have an audit with, I am very pleased to announce, no findings, no errors, other than the comment that the RDA should likely be depreciating its assets that it anticipates to hold over, typically a land or building is a depreciable asset, and you will depreciate that over years in your financial statements, as any person would at home or a real estate investor. But in our case, our intent is to flip them immediately, so we shouldn't hold them long enough to depreciate them. So it does not meet generally accepted accounting principles. However, it's not a finding in the audit because of our purpose to flip these properties right away.
Is there any benefit to us to do so?
No.
So it's just, as you said, like proper accounting principles?
It's the best, yeah, it would play out more in a taxable entity where they would get credit for that depreciation, but on ours,
It
it's.
generates a loss, and we
Right.
don't get taxed on profit, not that we have any, so.
Right. So it is perfectly acceptable, so I'm really happy with this, and I just need a motion to kind of accept it so that we have it at least in the record books.
Did we, how does this compare with the previous audit, or the last audit that was done, do you know?
I started to look at it. There were some findings in the two. In fact, I looked at that when I first started. The audit from 2018 had a couple of findings, mostly with accounting records or the lack thereof. One of the first things I did when I came on board was to establish a QuickBooks Online account, which is very simple, basic accounting, but allows me to pull up the reports and provide you with the cash reports, and we can track income, expenses, and categorize everything. Previously, And I mean, no disrespect, but literally it was a shoebox operation where everything was handed to a financial compiler at the end of the year who would then strive to categorize things appropriately. And that was a big finding from the 2018 audit. So we fixed that even before that audit report came out. So I'm really proud of that. And I'm sorry, and on a further note, if you look at the very back of this, although this is looking at 12/31/19 for the year ended 2019, there is always a section of subsequent events. In fact, it's the very back page. Because when the audit is performed, they obviously have to look at anything that's current that they would have to denote as a finding that has happened since the date of the end of 2019. So the auditor has all of our information going up through December 12th, 2023. So our next audit that they are now starting to work on, we're going to try to do a multi-year period to catch up a little bit. So our next audit that they're currently starting to work on will be the 2021 audit, and then we can do a 22 audit, and we'll be relatively up to speed on audits. But they do have, the auditor does have information leading up to as little as 3 weeks ago, which is great.
All right, any other questions? Just like to point out that Blanda started with us in 2019, so no surprise that we began with a clean audit in his first year. Kudos to Blanda. I know that was not easy getting all those financial records and everything straightened out,
It's an ongoing process.
but job well done.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to accept the 12/31/2019 audit as performed and presented by Hamilton and Musser PC?
So moved.
Second. Further discussion? All in favor, give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. Authorization to enter into seller agency listing contract.
Yes, we've been talking about this for quite some time. In fact, in 2017 or 2018, probably 18 or 19, this board did issue an RFP for qualified real estate agencies to market and list the RDA properties for sale. It is a good strategy. I thought it was a good strategy back then because it gets the RDA inventory and the RDA properties out into the public realm much better than we can with our little page buried on the city's website or our own networking. So if we can get our properties onto the multi-list system, I think we have a better chance of getting noticed and a better chance, therefore, of selling them. So we had a meeting recently, several meetings recently with Mr. Jason Phillips, who's here and willing to take any questions. And Jason is a downtown resident, lives in Codo 28, I believe, still. All right. And he's with Caldwell Banker. And yes, I did spell it right. It's Caldwell Banker Realty. And he has presented us with a listing agreement to sell the RDA parcels and put them in the multi-list system. So it would be a standard seller's agent listing agreement. And we just had a meeting prior to this meeting. Jason is proposing a 5% commission for anything over $50,000 sale and a $2,500 flat fee for anything under $50,000 sale, which works out, it's $2,500 kind of the floor of the commission. And we do not have to list every single property with him. Right now, our inventory is only vacant lots. I'm going to go through the process and provide him with a list of properties that are, not under option or not under any kind of agreement right now with the RDA, or those which the board thinks there may already be a buyer or somebody that I'm in discussion with, and let's not bother putting those on the multi-list system. And then reminder that the city has started recently to revamp its blight process, and we will shortly, and thanks to council, granted the RDA funding to purchase blighted properties. We anticipate that soon we will have an influx of blighted properties, structures in our inventory that we can start to market. So right now, as we're talking with Jason, you know, what most of our discussion, all of our discussion is about vacant lots. But at some point in time, there will be the ability then to flip structures, and in which case we'll be able to hit the market at a market rate or a fair sale rate. I hate to use the word market rate, versus us just trying to get out of it what we put into it. And we'll have somebody kind of at our beck and call to help us out do that.
Any questions of Jason or staff?
I commend Jason for pursuing us persistently to get these listings. I think this is great. Between your efforts and the Rimel's efforts, probably two of the freshest, most creative ideas to do something with all of these lots the whole time I've been on the board. Historically, we just sell them to a neighbor and they add it as an extra yard. So if we can get more activity, that would really be a plus for the city. So thank you for your efforts.
Thank you, Frank. Any other questions, comments?
I will add also on the screen, just for fun, I don't know how many of you have actually seen this, but I was able to geocode all of the RDA's ownership, which is really nice for us to be able to zoom right in, and we can see, like, here are the properties on Court Street. The yellow properties are the ones that are the RDA owns. So these are vacant lots. There's a cluster of vacant lots. And then we have some that are actually in orange that are under option agreement. There's one on the corner. This is Affordable Housing Advocates is getting ready to build a new home there. We have settlement later this week or next week. These are under option. These are all yellow lots that are available. So it's nice to be able to zoom out, move around, and see what the RDA actually owns. It's been a helpful tool.
All right, is there a motion to authorize staff to execute exclusive right to sell real estate listing contract with Jason Phillips of Coldwell Banker Realty for various RDA properties?
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor, give their consent by saying aye.
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 Opposed? So ordered. Strategic planning.
Also in your packet is a proposal from Patrick Ball at CBY Professional Services. Patrick had performed a strategic planning document, completed a strategic planning document for the RDA back in 2017. And the chairman and I have been talking about this for a while now, is now that we've had that document and we have completed many of the things that are on that document, is it time to revisit? You know, we're coming up on 5 or 6 years since that document was completed. Obviously, the real estate landscape's changed. Our partners have changed. I'm new. So what can we do to make sure that the RDA is not only currently on the right path, but how can we focus on the future and develop what is the future right path? And this is the first strategic plan that was done in 2017. I'll call it the first because I believe it was the first ever done, when the RDA established the mission and values and vision. This will build upon that and follow up upon the first round, check off the things we've checked, see what needs to be tweaked. And in my mind, I see it almost as a little bit of a 360-degree review of our operations, our interactions, how has the RDA handled potential clients, how do we develop future relationships, and again, as part of this as well, is what's the financial model, or what are potential financial models for the RDA to achieve some sort of sustainability moving forward. So I think from my perspective, from staff's perspective, I think it's critical to get an outsider's view on what could be fixed and how it could be fixed. And I know we had discussed it a little bit back and forth in committee. I think one of the things, and I'm a big proponent of this, is that documents are fluid and they're not made to be sitting on a shelf. So, you know, this would be something that would lay on the corner of my desk and constantly be improved, kind of a continuous improvement document. So I'll leave it at that for your comments. Oh, and the price. The price is $18,500, payable in two installments, 50% at commencement and 50% upon completion. And the schedule for completion is in here. If I printed it, it was several months long. Beginning with external interviews in February, running through with a staff retreat, board retreat in March, and finalizing a draft in May or June. So this is not a once meet and write a document, and also the creation of not only an implementation plan, but what Patrick calls a, quote, plan on a page, which is a shortcut cheat sheet to move forward correctly.
And last time, I know Patrick spent a lot of time interviewing various members of the community. As part of putting this plan together, I assume that would be a similar process.
Yeah, in fact, I've already started a draft list of people who I want him to talk to. And of course, we would circulate that to the board and meet with him and brainstorm about who the right people are that we need to hear from. And sometimes those people are the people you don't want to hear from, which I kind of like.
So yeah, there was some email exchange about this topic. I mean, I concur with Landon. I think the exercise is needed. However we get it done. I think Pat did a great job last time. So at that point, I'll just open up if there's any other questions or comments from the board. And we did have a very generous offer for hosting the meeting as well, for those that weren't in project Friday. Any other commentary? All right, is there a motion to authorize staff to execute the proposal from CBY Professional Services for strategic planning in the amount of $18,500, payable in 2 equal installments, I think you said?
Yes.
So moved, I'll make the motion.
The designated,
Yeah, that's my thing, it is, yeah.
moved and seconded, any further discussion? All in favor, give their consent by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So ordered. Staff report.
Just a few brief updates. First of all, Haley and Randy Durkee are in the audience, who we made the motion earlier. If you wanted to have any questions for them or stand up and give them a standing ovation for all the hard work that they've done. But I appreciate them attending. I just wanted to acknowledge that they are here in case anyone had any questions for them. Secondly, there has been a few, the RDA has gotten some press as of late. There's been 2 articles that were covered in the Dispatch about the Dentsply purchase. And again, I'm pleased to announce that the purchase has happened. It has been a lot of heavy lifting. I went back to my first email about Dentsply, and it was on August 6th, 2020, which was a long time ago. And in fact, that week of settlement, our settlement attorney, John Baranski, who substitutes for Don here sometimes, said that he had 315 emails in 3 days about the closing. So we were busy, and lots of credit and lots of thanks to MPL Law for helping us through that. The fun has just begun, but I wanted to put on the screen here is the outline of the parcels that were acquired through the Dentsply property, just to give it a sense of scale. It runs all the way from Bance Park to the west to MLK Park on the east, and it includes all of the buildings in between, as well as, and this is kind of an interesting thing, the parking, sorry, I turned one off. The parking areas on the north side of College Avenue, here are a large parking area and a large parking area which the developer intends to keep and use as part of their development, but also these grass lots. There's 2, 3, 4, 5, I think there's 12 parcels total combined in here that the developer has agreed to give to the RDA. So we will maintain ownership of this, which becomes part of a bigger picture of residential redevelopment. Interestingly enough, as you look at the neighborhood, and I can turn on what the RDA owns. The RDA owns all of these yellow areas around it. This is the Hope Street Garden. These are the orange lots that Foursquare has currently under option. These are the houses that Miss Bobby's Place has under option. And this is 217, 219 South Hartley Street that are under option with Geyer Ironworks to be redeveloped. So we are making efforts with these already, making improvement to the neighborhood and bringing everything else that we own in the area. We're starting to look at a comprehensive redevelopment strategy for all of these housing to recreate something good for the entire neighborhood. So it's really exciting. It's kind of shows you how the dense ply purchase not only enhances, and I'll use the right economic development words, it enhances the economic vitality of the neighborhood and preserves the historic fabric, while also allows us to grow into the neighborhood and get some more housing stock developed. So it's a really exciting time. And then briefly, the last thing that is in your packet is hot off the presses. Literally got this Friday afternoon, is the updated, latest and greatest floor plan for the future Penn Market. It is down to the point now where the architects and the market consultant from New York, New Jersey, has met with the vendor several times, asked them to choose their preferred location, asked them to identify clearly what equipment they need, how big that equipment needs to be, and so we can figure out their electrical and plumbing needs. So it's an exciting time. We are now working on pricing and small tweaks. For example, there's an area where there are 2 3-bay sinks right next to each other. You know, do we keep that? Do we get rid of that? Those kinds of value engineering analyses that we're working on. So it's an exciting time, and we're just about there to get the, well, I say just about. This is a much closer step than we were in the past with getting construction drawings generated. That's still another few weeks away, but we've locked down what we call the pencil copy of the design right now.
All right, any questions?
Blanda,
Yes, sir.
refresh my memory. What happened to the grocery store concept? I imagine that was a much more expensive build-out.
It was a much more expensive and much more operationally challenging because the concept about that was that the vendors would act as wholesalers, and in essence would provide their products to someone who would operate a grocery, which is a great idea, provided you have vendors who wish to do that and you have someone who wants to operate it. So there are 2 huge missing components to that kind of model. I think it could work if it was done from scratch. But when you have generational farms who know their customers and who want to interact with their customers, they want to be able to talk, and customers also want to be able to talk to the guy who grew their corn. And that model didn't necessarily allow that to happen. So it was a great idea, but not for our vendors and not for our time quite yet.
So it's someone running cash flow models, business pro formas to show what the rents are going to generate versus the expenses to operate post construction.
That is next on my list as soon as I get with the engineers, the mechanical, HVAC, electrical engineers that are working on it. Right now, one of our biggest expenses, in fact, I have the bill, I haven't opened it yet, is the heat. Our gas bills in the winter are just about what we collect in rent. So it makes it very challenging. We have, I think last month's deposit and rent was a little over $8,000, and the gas bill for next month is expected to be about $5,000 or $6,000. The electric will be about another $1,200. So once we can figure out, and a lot of this, this renovation is that efficiency. You know, this thing is heated by a bunch of modines in the ceiling that were meant for barns in the 40s. So that efficiency will really help get the operational expenses down, and then we'll start looking at the lease rates.
Anything else? All right, for my report, just would like to follow up on the Demfly comments. Thank you to John and his office and Blanda for all the work on this. It was an odyssey, maybe even an ordeal at some point, but Blanda said now the fun begins. Working with the developer to find out the best uses there, so be an exciting 2024 for us, I believe. Anything else for the good of the order?
Yeah. So, Glenda, thanks for all you do.
Absolutely, I enjoy it.
All right, meeting adjourned.
Thank you all.
Come on, spring.